Hello there, my name is Payal Naraine and welcome to this video series. यहाँ हम कवर कर रहे हैं पूनम दलाल दहिया की एंशिएंट एंड मेडिवल इंडिया की थर्ड एडिशन, जो कि लेटेस्ट एडिशन है. इस किताब को हम थ्रूली रीड करेंगे और जहाँ ज़रूरत पड़ेगी वहाँ हम साथ ही साथ यूपीएससी एंड स्टेट सर्विसेज में आए हुए प्रीवियस ईयर के क्वेश्चंस भी डिस्कस करेंगे. एंड इस सीरीज़ में वीडियोस लगभग 30 to 35 मिनट्स के होंगे, बड़े इफेक्टिव होंगे और हम ऑलमोस्ट 40 to 45 लेक्चर्स में ये पूरी किताब कवर करेंगे. और अगर आपने ये सीरीज़ 3 to 4 टाइम्स देख ली तो बिल्कुल ये किताब आपके दिमाग में छप जाएगी एंड ट्रस्ट मी, आपकी एक्यूरेसी भी काफ़ी इंक्रीज़ हो जाएगी. साथ ही साथ आपका रिवीजन भी काफ़ी आसान हो जाएगा. सो अगर आपको रिवीजन के साथ साथ वैल्यू एडिशन भी करना है तो ये सीरीज़ पूरी फॉलो करें. आपको बस आपके पास ये किताब रखकर मुझे सुनना है एंड मोस्ट इम्पॉर्टेंट पॉइंट्स मार्क करने हैं. So without any further delay, let's get started. Hello there, welcome back to the channel Ghatna Sutra. यहाँ हम कवर कर रहे हैं पूनम दलाल दहिया की एंशिएंट एंड मेडिवल इंडिया थर्ड एडिशन, जो कि लेटेस्ट एडिशन है. और हमने लास्ट वीडियो में स्टार्ट किया था विद अ न्यू चैप्टर, दैट इज द गुप्तास एंड द वकाटकास. नाउ वी आर गोइंग टू स्टार्ट विद द गुप्ता डायनेस्टी. एंड बिफोर वी डू दैट, आप अपनी बुक्स पे भी डबल स्टार मार्क कर लीजिए, क्योंकि गुप्ता डायनेस्टी के ऊपर छत्तीसगढ़ की एग्जामिनेशन में 2003 में सवाल पूछा गया था और यूपीपीसीएस की एग्जामिनेशन में 2007 एंड 1993 में भी इसके ऊपर सवाल आया था. सो मार्क दिस इज एन इम्पॉर्टेंट टॉपिक्स इन योर बुक्स टू, राइट. सो लेट्स गेट स्टार्टेड. गुप्ता डायनेस्टी. महाराजा गुप्ता / श्री गुप्ता, फाउंडर ऑफ गुप्ता डायनेस्टी. Maharaja Ghatotkaч, like his father, he was not documented by his own inscription. The earliest description of him is found in his grandson Samudragupta's Allahabad pillar inscription. Chandragupta I, 319 to 335/336 CE. The first important king of the Gupta dynasty laid the foundation of the Gupta empire and claimed the title of Maharaja Dhiraj, King of Kings. He started Gupta era in 319 to 320 CE, which presumably marked his accession date. His empire included parts of modern Bihar, Uttar Pradesh and Bengal, with its capital, which was Patliputra. Enhanced his power and prestige by marrying Kumar Devi, princess of Licchavi's clan, Nepal. Since Guptas were probably Vaishya by caste, marriage into Kshatriya clan granted legitimacy, prestige and strength to the Guptas. Coins were stuck in the joint name of the emperor, his queen, and the Licchavi nation, thereby acknowledging this martial alliance. In fact, Samudragupta was referred to as Licchavi's Duhitra, grandsons of the Licchavis, in the famous Allahabad Prashasti. Samudragupta. And before we start with Samudragupta, like 3-star mark this, क्योंकि समुद्रगुप्ता के ऊपर यूपीएससी में 2006 में सवाल आया था, बीपीएससी में 2015, उसी तरह छत्तीसगढ़ पीसीएस में एंड यूपी पीसीएस में मल्टीपल ईयर्स में सवाल पूछा गया था. सो दिस मेक्स इट एन इम्पॉर्टेंट टॉपिक, सो मार्क दिस इन योर बुक्स टू. नाउ लेट्स स्टार्ट. Samudragupta, 335/336 to 375 CE, son of Chandragupta I, who followed a policy of war and conquest and enormously enlarged his kingdom. His rule was one of expansion, marked first by the conquest of his immediate neighbors and then by campaign to the east and the south. Their chiefdoms and their kingdoms were subdued and forced to pay tribute to him. Due to this policy of his, the historian V.A. Smith has called him the Napoleon of India. Had a disputed accession to the throne. It is generally believed that his father had chosen him successor even though he had several elder brothers, which led to the struggle for succession after his father's death. It is presumed that Samudragupta prevailed after subduing his rival, Kachagupta, an obscure prince of the dynasty who was also his brother. His achievements are recorded in the long inscription, a eulogy engraved on the Allahabad pillar Prayag Prashasti, whose surface also contained inscriptions of Ashoka and later the Mughal emperor Jahangir. Unlike the Ashokan inscription, with stress on peace and non-violence, Samudragupta's inscription, extolling his deeds and virtues, stressed on the violence and military conquest and gave us information about his different conquests. It was composed in pure Sanskrit by Hirasena, who is not only his court poet but was also a Kumaramtya, that is, a high-ranking official who described himself by different titles, such as Sandivi Grahika, Minister for Peace and War, and Mahadandanayaka, judicial or military officer. According to inscription, Samudragupta exerted direct or indirect control over much of the Indian subcontinent, stretching from kingdoms in Nepal and Punjab in the north to the Pallava kingdom at Kanchipuram in the southeast. The last vestige of the Kushana rule, like the Shakas, the Murundas, and even the faraway independent territory of Simhala, present-day Sri Lanka, accepted his suzerainty as well. The Prashasti divides Samudragupta's opponent into 4 categories: rulers slain, whose dominance Samudragupta annexed outright; frontier kings, who were forced to pay homage; rulers defeated but reinstated as tributaries; and distant kings, who acknowledged Samudragupta as an emperor by sending him embassies. He adopted a different policy for each category. In the first category, located in the Ganga-Yamuna Doab, he followed a policy of annexation. He defeated 9 Naga rulers, incorporated their kingdoms into the Gupta Empire. In the second category, consisting of neighboring frontier kingdoms and 9 republican states of Punjab and Western India, Samudragupta conquered the frontiers king into submission, and they agreed to pay tribute and tax to him and obey his order without any fight. He conquered the Atvika Rajya, that is forest kingdom of central India, and forced the rulers into servitude. The Vindhya forest kingdom had a strategic value as they had a key of the route to the South India. This enabled him to proceed to the south along with the eastern coast, conquering 12 kings on the way, and reach as far as Kanchi near present-day Chennai. The Prayag Prashasti mentions the defeat of the 12 South Indian rulers together by Samudragupta, including Vishnugopa of Kanchi. It is pertinent to note that Veerasena was the commander of Samudragupta during his southern campaign. However, instead of annexing the southern kingdom, he adopted the policy of political conciliation and reinstated the defeated king on their thrones. It is generally presumed that this policy was adopted since he knew the limitations of not being able to keep them under control and subservience after returning to his capital in the north. Therefore, it was enough for him that these states recognized his suzerainty and paid him tribute and presents. Lastly, the Shaka Strapas of Western India and Kushana ruler of northwestern India and Afghanistan seems to have paid him homage. The ruler of Ceylon sent an embassy to secure privileges for Sinhalese monks at Bodh Gaya. This inscription adds that Samudragupta also received tribute from many kings of Southeast Asia. It is generally believed that though he had spread his influence over the vast area, Samudragupta exercised direct administrative control mainly over Indo-Gangetic basin. He celebrated his conquest by performing an Ashwamedha, horse sacrifice, and by issuing Ashwamedha coins, portraying the scene of the sacrifice, marking the occasion. He was also called Anukampavan, full of compassion, as he granted permission to the Buddhist king in Ceylon, Meghavarman, to build a monastery and rest house for pilgrims from Ceylon at Bodh Gaya. The magnificence of this monastery was described in the 7th century work of Hyun Sang Xuanzang. He is depicted on his coins both as muscular warrior, flaunting his victories on hundreds of battlefields, as well as a poet, a musician, and a patron of learning. He was a great patron of art and adopted the title of Kaviraja, king amongst poets. His love for music is attested by his coins that represent him playing on the veena on occasions. Legends on his coins include epithets such as Parakrama, brave, Apratrihatha, invincible, Vyagra Parakrama, brave as tiger, Ashwamedha Parakrama, powerful enough to perform the Ashwamedha. Though Hindu by practice, he extended his patronage to other religions, and one of his ministers was a great Buddhist philosopher, Vasubandhu. Samudragupta is remembered for his patronage of art and literature. Chandragupta, 2. 376 to 413/15 CE, and double star mark this topic क्योंकि इसके ऊपर भी अलग अलग एग्जामिनेशंस में कुछ ईयर्स में सवाल आए हैं, जैसे कि MPPCS में 1990 में आया था, BPSC में 2017 में आया था एंड UPUDA/LDA की एग्जाम में 2010 में आया था. So double star mark this topic and make sure that you revise whatever you have star marked before as well, right? So Chandragupta II. According to some legends, Samudragupta was succeeded by his eldest son Ramagupta, but Chandragupta II killed him. It is also believed that during Ramagupta's tenure, the Gupta Empire was invaded by a powerful Shaka king. Ramgupta lost the battle and signed a humiliating treaty that allowed his wife to be sent to the enemy camp. It is said that Chandragupta II had to kill his brother and marry his wife Dhurva Devi to safeguard the honor of the Gupta dynasty. The peak of a territorial expansion of the Gupta Empire was reached during Chandragupta's II reign, also known as Chandragupta Vikramaditya, who extended the limit of his empire by conquest and martial alliance with other loyal dynasties of the period. He married Kuber Naga, the Naga princess, and had a daughter Prabhavati. With her, Prabhavati was married to Rudrasena II of the ruling Vakatakas dynasty in the Deccan. After the death of her husband, Prabhavati ruled the territory as regent to her minor sons with the help of her father. During this 20 years period, the Vakatakas realm was practically a part of the Gupta Empire. Chandragupta thus exercised indirect control over the Vakatakas kingdom, which proved very beneficial to him. With a great influence in the central Indian region, he was able to target his other enemies better. Thus, he conquered western Malwa and Gujarat from the Shaka Strapa. One of them was Rudrasema III, who had been in command in the western India for about past 4 centuries. This conquest took the expense of the Gupta Empire to the western sea coast, which was an important region for trade and commerce. This contributed to the prosperity of Malwa and its chief city Ujjain, which was also Chandragupta II's second capital. Iron pillar inscription at Mehrauli in Delhi indicate that his empire included even the northwestern India and Bengal. He took the title of Vikramaditya, that is the one who is as powerful as the sun, and Simha Vikrama. He was the first ruler to issue silver coins. He also issued copper coins and is referred to as Chandra on his coins. He also issued gold coins called dinara. So एक बात आप ध्यान रख लीजिएगा, like wherever you see these type of terms, like mark this, highlight this in your books too and make sure that you revise it, क्योंकि इन terms पे भी examination में सवाल पूछने की probability is really higher, right? The Udaygiri cave inscription refers to his Digvijaya, that is, his conquest of the whole world. Fahin or Fa Shan, the famous Chinese traveller, visited India during his reign. His court at Ujjain was adorned by 9 famous scholars known as Navratins. अच्छा, and before we move ahead with the Navratins, make sure कि आप इनका नाम याद रखिए और इन्होंने किस तरह की काम किए हैं वो भी याद रखिएगा. Like mark this important in your books too, right? क्योंकि इसमें भी probability is higher that you may find questions कालिदास के ऊपर कि इन्होंने कौन से play लिखे थे, right? और and about the 9 Ratans, right? So let's get started. Navratnas. Kalidas, renowned classical Sanskrit poet and a playwright of India and a peerless genius who worked such as Abhijanna Shakuntalam, Malvika Agnimitram, Vikramo Vasiyam, became famous worldwide. Amar Simha, Sanskrit lexicographer and a poet, and his Amar Kosha is a vocabulary of Sanskrit roots, homonyms and synonyms. It is also called Trikand, as it has 3 parts containing around 10,000 words. Vahara Mihira, renowned mathematician and astrologer who wrote 3 important books. Pancha Siddhantika, a treatise of mathematical astronomy, which is a compendium of Vedanga Jyotisha as well as Hellenistic astronomy, and summarized 5 earlier astronomical treatises, namely the Surya Siddhanta, Romaka Siddhanta, Polisa Siddhanta, Vaishishta Siddhanta, and Pitamaha Siddhanta. Birahat Samhita, compilation of wide-ranging topics such as astrology, planetary moments, eclipse, rainfall, clouds, architecture, growth of crops, manufacture of perfume, matrimony, domestic relations, gems, pearls, and rituals, which also provide interesting detail of the belief of those times. And Brihat Jataka, considered the standard textbook on Vedic astrology. Dhanvanti, physician, who is considered the father of Ayurveda, literally means knowledge of longevity. Ghata Karapara, an expert in sculpture and architecture. Shanku, an architect who wrote Shilpa Shastra. Kahapanaka, an astrologer who wrote Jyotisha Shastra. Vararuchi, a grammarian and a Sanskrit scholar and the author of Prakrit Praksha, which is the first grammar of the Prakrit language. Vetla Bhatta, a magician who wrote the Mantra Shastra. कुमार गुप्ता 1. अब आप स्टार मार्क कर लीजिए कुमार गुप्ता 1 वाले टॉपिक को भी, क्योंकि इसके ऊपर यूपी ARO की एग्जामिनेशन में रिसेंटली 2020 में सवाल पूछा गया था. So mark this important in your books too. Kumar Gupta 1, 451 to 455 CE, adopted the title of Shakaraditya and Mahendraditya and performed Ashwamedha sacrifice. Founded the Nalanda University near present-day Patna, worshipper of Lord Kartikeya, son of Lord Shiva. During the last year of his reign, peace was disturbed on the northwest frontier due to the invasion of the Huns of Central Asia. In the mid-5th century, the Yeta, known as the White Huns, Hepatalitis, became powerful in the Oxus Valley after occupying Bactria. The Huns crossed the Hindu Kush mountains and entered India by occupying Gandhara. Their first attack during his reign was repulsed by the prince Sakandagupta. The Guptas, however, could not protect their empire for long, and successive waves of Huns invasion made the Guptas very weak. This was one of the main factors which accelerated the disintegration of the Gupta Empire. Bilsad inscription is the oldest record of his reign and date to the Gupta year 96, which corresponds to 415 CE. Other inscriptions of Kumar Gupta reigns are Karandana, Mandsaur, Damodar copper plate inscription. Later mentions that the trade guild served as a bank for advancing loan and receiving deposits in Kumar Gupta's reign. Sakandagupta. अच्छा, अब डबल स्टार मार्क दिस टॉपिक, क्योंकि सकंदगुप्ता के ऊपर UPPCS में 2004 एंड 2015 में सवाल पूछा गया था एंड BPSC में 2011 में, एंड इवन उत्तराखंड PCS में 2012 के ऊपर भी सवाल आया था, राइट, ऑन गुप्ता डायनेस्टी. So let's get started. Sakandagupta, 455 to 467 CE, faced and repulsed the Huns successfully. Junagarh Girnar inscription of his reign tells his governors Prandatta got the Sudarshana lake repaired, adopted the title of Vikramaditya. The Gupta Empire continued to exist, but central control weakened and local governors became feudatory kings with a hereditary right. Later Gupta kings included Purugupta, Kumar Gupta II, Buddha Gupta, Narsimha Gupta, Kumar Gupta III, and Vishnu Gupta. The Gupta Empire declined due to the variety of factors. Decline of the Guptas. Reason for the decline of the Guptas. Hun invasion. As we have discussed earlier in this chapter, the Huns' further movement into the Indian territory was successfully repulsed by Sakandagupta in the early 5th century. In the later half of the 5th century, weak success of Sakandagupta could not check grown Hun power, and the Hun chief Toraman was able to conquer a large part of the western India, stretching up to Urns near Bhopal in the central India. Banabhatta in his Harsha Charitra refers to the Huns' invasion. The inscription issued by the Huns and the numismatic evidence shows that by 485 CE, they had occupied what is present-day Punjab, Rajasthan, Kashmir, Eastern Malwa, and the large part of central India. In 515 CE, Toraman was succeeded by his son Mihirukula, who was a giant and an iconoclast. Kalana Rangini mentions his cruelty. Even the Hun Sung mention him as a precise persecutor of Buddhists, who finally suffered defeat by the hands of Yashodhara of Malwa. Narsimha Gupta, Baladitya of the Gupta dynasty, and the Mukharis, however, the victory over the Huns could not revive the Gupta Empire. Rise of feudatories. The Gupta power was severely curbed by the rise of feudatories, Yashodavarman of Malwa, who belonged to Aulikara feudatory family, successfully challenged the authority of the Guptas after defeating Mihirikula and set up 532 pillars of victory, commemorating his conquest of almost the whole of the North India. Even though Yashodavarman rule was short-lived, it did cause a severe damage to the Gupta Empire reputation and image. Motivated and encouraged by these schemes of events, other feudatories too rose in rebellion against the Guptas and gradually declared themselves independent in Bihar, Bengal, Madhya Pradesh, Vallabhi, Gujarat, Western Malwa, and so on. It is noteworthy that after the reign of Sakandagupta, hardly any Gupta coins or inscription is found in Western Malwa and Saurashtra. Gradual decline in economic prosperity. Gradual economic decline of the Gupta Empire is indicated by the Gupta coins of the late Gupta rulers, which have less of a gold content and more of alloy. We also notice a gradual disappearance of coins in the post-Gupta period. It led the king to make payments in the form of land rather than cash. It is evident by the discovery of large scale of land grant charters donating land to brahmanas and officers. They further aggravated the feudal tendencies of the empire and indicated lesser control on the part of the central government. Also, due to the loss of Western India, the rich revenue from the foreign trade and commerce also dropped, and this further crippled the Guptas. The migration of guilds of silk weavers from Gujarat to Malwa in 473 CE and the adoption of a non-productive profession shows that there was probably not much demand of cloth produced by them, as stated in Mansoor inscription. The decline of the Gupta Empire resulted in the emergence of numerous ruling dynasties in the different part of the North India. Prominent among them were the Pushyabhutis of Thanesar, Maukharis of Kanauj, and Maitrakas of Vallabhi. The political scene in the peninsular India was no different. The Chalukyas and the Pallavas emerged as strong regional powers in Deccan and northern Tamil Nadu respectively. Vakatakas of the Deccan. In peninsular India, especially in the northern Maharashtra and Vidarbha, the Satavahanas were succeeded by the local power known as Vakatakas, who played an effective role in the political game of the Deccan for more than 2.5 centuries. The Vakatakas were contemporaneous of the Guptas in North India. The Purana refers to the dynasty as Vindhyakas. The Vakatakas, who were Brahmin themselves, belonged to the Vishnuvirdi Gotra, were great champions of the Brahmanical religion and performed numerous Vedic sacrifices. Their history can be reconstructed on the basis of large number of copper plate land grant charters issued to the Brahmanas. Even though they promoted Brahmanism, they were liberal in outlook and patronized Buddhism as well. The Vakatakas had matrimonial ties with the imperial Guptas. Rudrasena II of royal Vakatakas family was married to Prabhavati Gupta, the daughter of Chandragupta II of the imperial Gupta family. The Nagas of Padmavati, the Kadambas of Karnataka, and the Vishnukundis of Andhra. Culturally, the Vakatakas kingdom is important because it became a channel to spread Brahmanical culture to southern India. The Vakatakas are noted for having been patrons of arts, architecture, and literature. Their legacy in terms of public work and monuments had made significant contribution to Indian culture. The rock-cut Buddhist viharas and chaityas in Ajanta cave, a UNESCO World Heritage Site, was built under the patronage of Vakataka king Harisena. They are also credited with having built a few temples in Tigwa and Nachunkutra. They made a remarkable contribution in the field of painting. Ajanta cave number 16, 17 and 19 are best example of Vakataka's excellence in the field of painting. In particular, the painting titled Mahabhinishakarma, not only the Vakataka rulers but the ministers or governors like Hastibhoja and Vaharadeva also extended their benevolence patronage to the Ajanta cave painters. King like Parvasena II celebrated authors of the Setubandha Kavya and Sarvasena, author of Harivijaya, were themselves poets of a great repute in Prakrit, a style by name Vidarbharti, which developed in Sanskrit during their rules. which was praised by the poets of the likes of Kalidas, Banabhatta, and Dante. The Vakatakas had a stamp of their own in their rulership, which is truly unmatched. वकाटका डायनेस्टी, अब इसको भी आप डबल स्टार मार्क कर लीजिए, क्योंकि वकाटका डायनेस्टी के ऊपर झारखंड की एग्जामिनेशन में, छत्तीसगढ़ की एग्जामिनेशन में एंड इवन यूपी एंड राजस्थान पीसीएस में मल्टीपल ईयर्स में सवाल पूछे गए थे, राइट. सो डबल स्टार मार्क दिस, सो मेक दिस एज एन इम्पॉर्टेंट टॉपिक. Mark this in your books too, okay? Vakataka dynasty. Vindhya Shakti I, last quarter of the 3rd century, around 250 to 270 CE, founder of Vakataka dynasty, who probably ruled from Purika. He is credited to have performed number of Vedic sacrifices and thus revived Brahmanical rituals, which were in abeyance during the rule of the later Satavahanas. The Ajanta inscription of the time of Harisena described him as Dvija and praised him for his military achievements. It is claimed that the sun was obscured by the masses of dust raised by the horses' hooves, and he is compared with the gods Puramdara, Indra, and Upendra. Vishnu spent most of his time in consolidating his kingdom. The chief feature of his reign is the political alliance between Chandragupta II and himself, and together they defeated the Shaka Strapa of Malwa and Kaitwar. During the later part of his reign, the Guptas and the Vakatakas entered into a matrimonial alliance, since Prithvasena's son Rudrasena II, the crown prince, was married to Prabhavati Gupta, the daughter of Chandragupta II. Prithvisena also was Shaiva like his father. Rudrasena II, 390 to 395 CE, ruled only for a period of 5 years, as he died prematurely, leaving behind 3 minor sons, Divakar Sena, Damodar Sena, and Pravasena. His wife Prabhavati Gupta ruled as the regent until 410 CE. Unfortunately, Divakar Sena also died prematurely and did not live long enough to extend the throne, but his younger brother Damodar Sena and Parvasena too did. In fact, the seal of Prabhavati Gupta's Marigaon plates described her as a mother of 2 kings. Parvasena II, 395 to 440 CE. Largest number of Vakatakas' inscriptions belong to his reign. A dozen copper plates granted to his were discovered in different parts of Vidarbha. Though Prabhavati Gupta continued to issue inscription in her own right and died during the later part of son's reign. He is credited with the founding of a new capital at Pravapura, which is identified as Punar in the present-day Wardha district. Even though he was a devotee of Shiva, he composed a Prakrit Kavya glorifying Rama, the Setubandha or Ravanavaha, which is about Rama's journey to Lanka and his victory over Ravana. He entered into a matrimonial alliance with the contemporary Kadambas near Mysore. His son Narendra Sena was married to a princess of Kuntala, Ajiyata Bhatrika, the daughter of Kukatswarman of the Kadamba dynasty. Narendra Sena, 440 to 460 CE. It is believed that after the death of Parvasena II, a struggle for succession happened in which Narendra Sena emerged successful. He had to face the invasion of a Nala king, Bhavadottavarma. Both in the beginning and the end of his reign, in between, he made some conquests and had to face the stiff opposition of the Nalas all along. Prithvisena II, 460 to 480 CE. The last known ruler of Nandivardhan branch of the Vakataka dynasty, who is credited with the revival of the fallen fortunes of the Vakatakas. His inscription refers to him having twice rescued the sunken fortunes of Vakatakas. He had to face the invasion of Harisena of Vastagulma line thrice, and the invasion of Bhavadattuvarma of the Nala dynasty. He also appeared to have fought with the Terikutta king Dharasena of southern Gujarat. After Prithvisena II's death, it is presumed that Hirasena of Vastagumla line of Vakatakas conquered his successors and united the Nandivardhan line with his own. Vatsagulma branch line. The second major Vakataka line was the Vastagumla branch, which had its capital at Vatsagulma, modern Washim in Akola district, Maharashtra. The founder of this Vatsagulma line of the Vakatakas was Sarvasena, the son of Pravasena I. Sarvasena, 330 to 355 CE, adopted the title of Dharma Maharaja, was believed to be the renowned Prakrit poet, and his lost work, the Harivijaya, was lauded by later writers. Some of his verses were incorporated into Ghatasattasai. Vindhyakshakti II and Vindhyasena, 355 to 400 CE. He ruled for almost 4 decades, and his kingdom seemed to have included the Marathwada region, comprising of the southern part of Vidarbha, the northern part of Hyderabad state, and some other adjoining territory. He is believed to have defeated the Kadambas of Banavasi, who ruled over Kuntala, North Karnataka. His son and successor, Parvasena II, appeared to have ruled for a period of 15 years. Parvasena II was followed by Devasena, who was a pleasure-seeking ruler, but luckily had a service of a very capable minister, Hastibhoja. His successor, Harisena, was the ablest and the greatest ruler of this line. Harisena, 475 to 500 CE, last known king of Vastagulma line, who not only united the two Vakatakas branches but also extended his territory by conquering Kuntala, Avanti, Kalinga, Kosala, Konkan, and Andhra. His kingdom extended from Malwa in the north to southern Maharashtra in the south, and from the Bay of Bengal to the east of the Arabian Sea in the west. Dandi, a poet of 6th century CE, described Harisena as a powerful, truthful, and bountiful, glorious, lofty, and a penetrating critic of ethical and economic compendia. The Thalnar copper plate, which record the gift of village of bronze workers and goldsmith, belonged to his reign, and many of the Ajanta caves were executed during his reign. In one of the inscription at the cave 16 and the Ghatotkacha cave, there is a mention of his minister Vaharadeva. With the death of Harisena II, the glory of the Vakatakas ended, and the Nalas and Kadambas and Kalachuris and Yashodavarman of Malwa occupied their territory. So that's all for the day. In the next lecture, we'll start with the various facets of the life under the Guptas and the Vakatakas. So keep on watching Ghatna Sutra. See you next time.